And welcome everybody to the Camp Zombie animation show design livestream. My name is Kyle Gentry. This is my creation. This is my show. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, please consider subscribing to my channel and giving the video a like. The more that I get, the more people I can share it with, so I really appreciate it. Last week we finished up our background design for Cabin 13, which is the child's cabin, or the main character's cabin. There will be others and such, but I figured this week we would focus our attention on Wheelie Big Dealy Neely, the bus driver, the guy who drives the camp bus or airboat. His garage, refining the ride that I designed in session 3, pardon me. It's going to be a lot of fun, but we're going to focus on cleaning up his character first because I really need him cleaned up and a little bit colorized, so we're going to do him. And then I might go into Painter a little bit and show you how I set up the background for an environmental painting. I already had it done for the last one, and I kind of want to show you what I do because I work between 3 different programs, something like that, for texturing and things like that, and I play with color and whatnot. So we'll go into that after we get him refined. So we're going to go into that now. So let's get into this. And I just, for those that are interested, I did order a Camp Zombie livestream shirt just to test the company. I'm using teespring.com, and we'll see how they come out. I want to make sure it's the quality level before I send people to the site. Okay. All right. So we got little Vinny here, main character, main design for the rest of the show to be based off of, and Big Dealy Neely over here. We'll work on him today. We're going to make him the star today. We're going to do a cleanup of him first. All right. So same brushes that I utilize pretty much everywhere else. I've still got my Monty color palette for that series, so I'm going to go back to my standard color set. There we go. Okay. I was doing some work on that painting series today. I'm trying to get it done for Spooky Empire at the end of April, early May, so I can get it printed. And got word today that my printing company that I normally use is shifting stuff around their website, so hopefully it doesn't screw me up. I'm hoping and praying that doesn't mess me up. All right. Yeah. So I'm pretty happy with his design. I think overall it's the right design for him. I'm not going to do too much refinement on it. Looking for that stylized breathing line as always. Just going for some fun sideburns here. So yeah, if you missed the session designing him, he is an ex like NASCAR kind of driver who works for this camp now, and he's still wearing his driver's uniform with the sponsor patches all over it, and I may incorporate some of that into the airboat. Like, he just can't let that part of his past go. You know, he's living the dream, always going to be a driver, always going to be a racer. This kind of hawk nose design of his. I'm trying to keep it simple because, as I said in several videos, the design of the nose, there's a dividing line between eyes, and his eyes I'm going to work on a little bit because they don't match the other characters. I'm going to leave Vinny up there so I can see. Let me pull him down so I can see because I'm keeping the design in the same realm. And you see there's no line in between Vinny's eyes. It's like one set of white orbs that connect in the middle. And the adults have a little bit more of a dividing line, but he is missing some of that. So I'm going to play around a little bit with his base design and get that working a little bit better. So we're going to move some stuff around and play a little bit until I get it the way I like it. Ah, there we go. Okay, good deal. All I had to do was move just a little bit, just a tiniest little bit. Put some of that back in there. Get rid of this line, so that all you see is I'm just working in this. There we go. That's better. That keeps him in the same design realm. It looked good, but it was just missing that little piece. And I got to be cognizant of keeping the shape language and the character design language within the same language. So it's not like I'm speaking Spanish and they're speaking English. You know, you want the design to be speaking the same language. That's how a show maintains cohesion. And that's how characters relate to each other. Play with that line width a little bit. And if you're new tonight, welcome. As I've said every week, if you have any questions about character design for animated shows or things like that, feel free to ask. I'm a character designer and character illustrator, and I've worked in the animation industry doing character designs for a show called The Magic Poof, which is still in development right now, and I've also done 20 years worth of character illustration. They do kind of go hand in hand. Because usually, especially if you're freelance, you'll find that one leads to work in the other. My most recent clients include Disney and Marvel as a third-party contractor. So what that means is another company has hired me to help them with their project that they're doing for Disney and Marvel. So I have 3 clients instead of just one, because I still have to make sure the design still patches snuff for what Disney and Marvel like. And I can't talk about the most recent project. That's a non-disclosure agreement. Pretty standard. Yeah, there we go. I like that. But I'll be able to talk about it in August. That's when the book I did layout for hits shelves. It's a tie-in book to a show that's coming. I'm not sure if it's coming to Disney XD or just Disney Plus or the Disney Channel. I'm not sure which. I want him to look a little bit serious and Mr. Cool, like he's somebody that the campers are all kind of like a tiny bit afraid of, but they all like want to be him. All the boys want to be him because he's just a cool guy and he seems to know everything about everything. You know, even if his stuff is complete nonsense, they think he's just one of the smartest guys at the camp. And he does not know about the zombie. So, a little quick recap, and I have to do this every time for new viewers. Camp Zombie is a fictitious show that I created to help demonstrate how I create artwork for a character Bible to pitch a show to an animated network, or an animation company or network. It's about a camp in the Ozarks, not the Ozarks, pardon me, the Everglades. And the chef at the camp is a zombie, and he doesn't crave brains, he craves dessert, because that's how he became a zombie. Back in the 80s, he got terminal brain freeze from eating an out-of-date scoop of ice cream from a batch that was in the basement. And he's kind of been stuck there ever since, and the kids in present day figured out what he is, and they've befriended him. And this zombie is stuck in the 80s. He was a teenager when he worked at the camp when this happened to him, so he's stuck as an older teen. In the 80s, he's got a mullet and kind of his 80s sense, and he talks like he's from the 80s. It's a lot of fun. And next week, or as soon as I finish up doing this particular design, once I get like the garage and the boat and him done, we'll focus on the different looks of Lurkin the zombie, because every time he eats a different dessert, it changes his personality. So that's a danger the kids are always having to deal with. Yeah, I'm really liking the serious look he has. I like it a lot. I want him to look like, this is always the race of his life, even when he's going to pick up the kids for the camp. Excellent. Okay. And this program is Clip Studio Paint. For those that want to know, I don't use Photoshop all that often. Not a fan. That's okay. If you are, that's awesome. But nice. Okay. Sometimes I keep using the wrong tool. That's okay. It worked out this time. I was using the inking tool, and I wasn't necessarily going for that. The lines are a little darker than I like, but still works for this particular mode that I'm drawing in right now. And his hair is kind of swept back into a point, like he's always going fast. Like that's, I like playing with designs like that. Just orienting the screen so I can have the best stroke possible to get the lines proper. There we go. There it is. That's the line I was looking for. Excellent. Okay. Yeah. You imagine this guy driving you around to camp, going as fast as you can across the water in the Everglades with your hair on fire. Because if you can't imagine that, then get in the boat with him, because I'll bet you can imagine it to that point. I make my strokes right now quick and very deft because I want them to look clean, and the more you stop on a stroke and try and get it perfect, the less clean it looks. So I'm going for the heart of the line. I'm not trying to hit the outline exactly. There's an arbitrariness to just drawing like this that adds a lot to the character that I really like. But I love artists that noodle things too. Like, I will noodle things, but for this particular design and for this look of the show, I want to keep things direct. All the characters have very widespread legs. That's just one of the parts of this design language that I've created for the show. And of course, as always, I'll do what I lovingly call Pancake Feet. For this show, it's just a lot of fun to draw them like that. These big, wide, floppy, almost clown-like shoes and feet. It's just part of my design aesthetic for some of the characters or for this particular set of characters, and I just like the way they looked. He's got a pet alligator that lives underneath the garage. There's a little like doghouse looking structure that is under there that the alligator lives in. And I designed the alligator, I think it was week 4, I think, session 4. So go look that up. It was a lot of fun to do, and I'll be exploring that further. Still haven't come up with a name for her yet. So it's a female alligator. Kids are all afraid of her, but except for the transfer camper from Australia, she's not afraid of any animal. Her name is Sheila. Get it? She's from Australia. Her name is Sheila. Don't like that little ball. I don't want it to look like it's... He's got his racing scarf, although this is probably going to be a little stained when I'm done with it. You know, he's holding out his steering wheel to his old car, just fantasizing about driving, like, you know. He kind of does that wherever he goes when he walks. That'd be hilarious, wouldn't it? And airboats don't typically have steering wheels. They have a stick that they control, but this is special. So we're going to keep it that way. Pardon me. Oh. Sometimes you can't help yourself. Oh my. Yeah, he's coming along nicely. So I hope everybody's having a good night tonight. I'd love to know where some of my beers are from. I live in Orlando, Florida. Where are you guys from? Where do you hail from, huh? Live streaming is just like anything else. Sometimes you have a lot of viewers, sometimes you don't. Just depends on who's on. Back up from that. Yeah, that works. I like it. These are all of his sponsor patches. I'll do that with color. I'm not going to worry about putting black lines in for the detail work on it. Designed a phone that didn't match with the rest. Alright. Now I'm going to do a little bit of a, not a cheat, but what a lot of other artists using the Concentric Circle Guide. I'm going to create a new layer. Concentric circles in Clip Studio are just about the coolest thing ever because they allow you to do very technical work. It's part of the ruler set. Go here. It's under Special Ruler, and I go down here under Special Ruler and then click Concentric Circle. And then you just kind of, need to get that more in as flat as possible. There we go. There we go. Now the cool thing about this is no matter where I draw, the circles are always perfectly in width and like in ratio to each other. So I can do something like that and get away with having the ovals. It's really nice. Honestly, it's really, really nice. Get rid of that layer. Okay. And we'll just draw in the rest of his hand, and I'll do the draw over on that. Don't worry about the middle of the steering wheel. I'm going to fix that in a sec. I'll put that on a different layer and then do the erasing where I need, as need be. Can't be both above and below. That looks kind of weird. There we go. Okay, there's a kissing line between the design and his suit. I hate kissing lines where they just barely intersect and it plays with your eyes. All right, good deal. Create another layer so I can. And this can be more freehand. That's why I'm not worried too much about it being. Some of it has to be because of the nature of the design for the show. I can't make everything look too perfect like I did with the concentric circles, but okay, go to the layer below it. This is where I can fix things. Pardon my dog if you hear my dog. He's super sensitive right now to noises outside. And I think our new neighbor's just moved in with a dog, so he's all about barking at him. There we go. Put a few little nubs for like that kind of element of a steering wheel. On some steering wheels it has like old school like grooves for your fingers. Yeah, that works. Okay. Alright. Looks pretty good. I don't do anything without coffee in my hands. Apologies. Alright, so we're going to bring this down even more. Okay, let's have some fun with some color. Now, the colors are muted. They're always muted, so I generally will pull a color from another character to use as the base for another one. That way, it helps me keep it within the color family that I've designed for myself. And I use transparent. Oh, nope. Got to create a new layer for that. Use transparent watercolor as a tool in Clip Studio a lot. It builds on itself and you can smear it around, which is really fun. You can get really good at blending things with it. It's a tremendous amount of fun. You can build a shadow up using it as the color on itself. You know, you start off with a flat tone and just keep building and building over it. And I use this a lot, so. Don't worry about overlap lines. That's what erasers are for. I'm just trying to throw color down and see what works. Yes. I like that. I'm going to give him a 5 o'clock shadow too after I finish Get some of the shade down. Okay. A bit darker. A little bit larger. There we go. Not dark enough. Okay. Gotta go. There we go. Let me go in tight so you guys can see a little better. Sometimes I don't bring it up big enough for your screen. That's better, okay. I'm giving them the same light source that the kids have for, you know, just kind of off to the, vaguely to the right. I'm not looking for precision at the moment. Just looking for a good general fun source. Get those shadows. I do, you know, the base shadows like drop shadows and things like that that are important. Those have to be a little more precise. Under his nose, lip, chin, ear. Except for that little dealie right there. I don't want that to get lost. Dealie, and that's his name, Big Dealie Mealy. Back to the original color. Work back in just a little bit. Instead of using a blender, I'm just trying to work the colors into each other. It gives it kind of a little bit of a rough look, which I want. Between, like, you can, everything's not so perfect. It adds speed to the design too, because the idea of doing this kind of design is that it's not perfect. It's, you know, you're throwing color down, you're giving people a glimpse, an idea of what the show will be about. You don't have to show it as a completely final product. That's why a lot of the painting is rough. If you go to my website, which is listed at the top of the screen, tkylesgentry.com, you can see more of my tight work, and you can see that I can very capable of working tight. It's just I'm making a design decision here. I also work traditionally too. You know, it's just I prefer digital professionally because it's easier to get work clients. But there are instances where I work digital just fine. All right, shadow's good. I will do a little bit of blender here, just a tiny bit of blur in a few spots. That's a little too harsh. Not gonna focus too hard. There we go. Yeah, okay. Now let's go a little bit lighter. Let me pick that base color again. Not a lot we can do more with lighter, but... And there's going to be glass over his eyes, you know, for the goggles, so... Okay, excellent. Give him green eyes. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'm doing everything on as few layers as possible. For blending purposes, it helps me be aware of how the colors are affecting each other. There we go. Okay, let's bring that down just a little bit. Not too worried that his eyes look a little bit, just the tiniest little bit neon. I'm not trying to make him neon, but when I put the blue over, that kind of slightly augmented blue over for the goggles, it won't matter. It'll neutralize it ever so slightly. Eyes aren't totally white. Always remember that. And I need to do a little bit more shadow underneath his brow line. Yep, that needs to go darker. There we go. Give him a little bit of color where his lips are, just a little bit. That's a little too orange. Because even guys have pink lips, you know, it's just the way it goes. Got a little white, put a little bit of we'll go a little bit darker right here because his lips curled under, but it needs to be the same base color. Back off from that. Yes, okay. Now I'll take care of his teeth because it looks kind of weird all flesh tone, right? Make him white at first, and his teeth are kind of broken a little bit. I want him to look a little more like a hick. Not to be insulting, but yeah. Okay, let's do that this way. There we go. You know, that's a little too much. Let me rein that in a little bit. It's not quite the effect I wanted to go for. I wanted it to look a little bit crooked and a little bit jagged. I didn't want him to look like he was missing half of his mouth. Maybe a gap here and there is fine. There we go, that's better. Yeah, that's better. Okay, half hour in. I'm trying to keep it at around an hour and a half for these things, so we'll see how far we get. Okay, let's do a scruff. Bring that down a little bit. I'm going to use let's mask the layer. Go to, there it is, pastel. Charcoal. Oh, wrong color. There we go. Okay. I'm going to go with kind of this shade, but I'm going to make it just a little cooler. There we go. Okay. Go down because his sideburns only come down so far, and that's too green, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay. I went too colorful with it. There we go. I'm just showing that he's got scruff. It doesn't have to be super detailed. I mean, I'll focus a little bit more in the shadows. Bring the opacity up just. There we go, that's better. I had the opacity down just a little too far. Alright. Just doing a little bit of cleanup work so I don't have to do it later on. Alright. Let's get my Blur by Fiber in there, and that is from the old version of Clip Studio Paint. They got rid of it for this version, so I ported it over from my old copy. So glad I still had it because, man, I love that blender. Just does a beautiful job. I don't know why they got rid of it. It makes me so mad. Especially for people that could have used it. Such a great tool. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of this pink to his nose. Just a little. There's more blood vessels in your nose. At the end of it, you know, it's just kind of a thing. Let's make that a multiply layer. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Just multiply on a layer above this makes it the color blend dark down below. Yeah, I'm just looking for just a general. There we go. Drop that down. Now I'm going to add a little bit of shine to the whole face with some maybe dense watercolor. Let's play around a little bit. Sometimes I like playing with new tools. Yeah, that works. Gives a soft edge, but I still get my white. I mean, if you'll notice on Vinny over there, I didn't go super hardcore with precision on his detail. And adding more contrast to the chin makes it a little more chiseled. A little bit of highlight under his brow from the eye. Just a tiny bit. Yeah, that works. Okay. Now we'll do his goggles. First thing I want to do is figure out the color of his I don't know what they call that. I'll pick this dark color from Vinny's costume. I kind of like that color, but I'm going to make it a little more gray. There we go. Make it a green. Yeah. But I'll put his clothes and the frame of his visor on the same deal. Let me pick a different brush here for filling. Oh, I need the newsprint brush. That's what I've been using on my other ones. Okay. There we go. Newsprint 2. Nope. 3. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, that's what I want. Gives a good texture. I didn't create this brush. I got this brush from Lost Bear Studios. They gave it away, and it's got a really cool effect. He does a good job with them. So go check out his YouTube channel. He is a extremely successful and very talented character designer. He's been in the industry and for so long. Worked for Insomniac Games and worked on Ratchet and Clank. And go give him some love on his channel because he's a cool guy. I can always go up and fiddle with the color a little bit. You know, it's a little too similar. Let me, before I add any other colors, let me do a tonal correction on that and saturate it a little bit more. Okay, I don't want him to look like Ralphie from Christmas Story with a bunny costume. Purple? Oh, I like that. Kind of a purplish blue, kind of a plum. Almost, that works good. I want him to stand out. I don't want him to look like a counselor or he's wearing the same uniform as them, so using the other color was a good place to start. But This is still in the same kind of muted color scheme that the rest is. We'll go from here. Just doing a little bit of cleanup. I don't mind some of the color bleeding over. That works okay for some parts of it, but if it's obvious that there's a part that shouldn't look like that, I don't want it to be a problem. Okay. We can do green for his goggles. Kind of that green that I had before. That'll work. That'll bring over the color that I want. I just put it in a different place and I thought I needed it. Man, that's the wrong tool again. Dang it. Alright. There it is. Thank you. I don't want it to layer on itself either, so I'm going to keep my brush nice and steady on the screen. The moment I take it off the screen, it starts to layer over itself the moment I put it back down again, so we're going to be careful with that. Not looking for precision, I just want to fill the lines in. There we go. Nice. Now I'll go down to another newsprint and then I'll do some shading. Maybe a little bit of that. There we go. Okay. Not too strong. That's a little better. I'm not using a lot of mask on this. I'm not using like a layer with a mask just because I'm trying to show you that it can be free-handed too. Normally I would have a mask over this and I'd be all precise and make sure it's, you know, but if you're in a rush and you don't want to mess with all the layers, you can do it. Just giving a little bit of light highlight. All right, now here's where we put in the glass. And this is in between the skin layer and the frame layer, so and this is going to be fun. Very, very fun. So we're just going to go over the whole thing. And I'll play with the opacity of it in a second. So if we truly want to make it look like it's going over, you could always take it over the lines. It'd be like that, and then I would erase parts of it, which I think works well. So I think I'm going to do that. Let me go here, and this is where a little bit of precision comes into play. All right, this you just got to be real good with your eraser tool. Make sure you get the black uncovered, and there's better ways to do this. Every artist will tell you they've figured out their own way of doing this, and it's a shambles of different things they've thrown together and just works best for them. There is much better ways to do this, I'll tell you right now, but that's okay. This is what works for me. You're going to end up, if you want to be a digital artist and you're going to figure out your own methodology for doing things, it's not going to be the same as everybody else's, and that's cool. You know, go for it, man. If a little bit of the outline of the face shows, it's okay. like that. That works. Yeah, okay. So the trick now is adding a little bit of highlight to this over the top of that. And then directly underneath it, you add a little bit of shade. But this is where playing with opacity is important. Like, what do you cover up? What do you not? And you can't be afraid to cover some things up. But you don't want to ruin the character with it either. Just playing until I find the right look that I want. Light's coming from the right side, so I don't want to get... There's always reflected light, refracted light, and bounce light, and all kinds of funny stuff when it comes to reflections, and I don't want to overdo any of it. That works. Okay. Now, underneath, you've got this. Okay, so that's at 51%. Let me bring it up. Select that color. Boom. Bring it back down. Okay, so underneath, you go with a darker version of that to help enforce the highlights. Just a little trick. It's not... the wrong way. There it is. All right, I want the black to show through there. I decided, just last minute decision. It's showing through everywhere else. I need to show through there too. Okay. Yeah, that works. I like that. Okay. Now, that's not to say he can't have his goggles up. This is just the most ideal version of the character for right now, just to sell it. The other thing I can do on his clothing layer is do the hair, but let's get his goggles down to one layer. There we go. Okay. Now, the way Clip Studio works is if you have two layers that you're joining and one is at 41% opacity and the other at 100, when you collapse them, it doesn't just magically go to 100. They stay where you left them. They're just merged now into a layer. So the part that was slightly transparent stays slightly transparent. I can't explain it better than that. It's just a cool thing that they do, and I like it because it keeps the integrity of each layer. And it works really well. I like it a lot. All right, his hair is important, so we're gonna give him a gray streak, you know, because he didn't go through all that driving as a race car without some stress. But the rest of his hair is black. But I'm going to lower the opacity so I can see the outline, so I don't lose it. Go back to his clothing layer. Sorry about that. There it is. All right. I'm going to lower the opacity. Don't worry about that. And we're going to... Yeah, this gives me an idea of where the outline is, like the outline of the hair. I don't want to, when I erase, I'm going to coat the whole thing in dark. It just gives me a good indicator of where the outline is. Just filling in. Yeah, there's, like I said, there's easier ways to do this too. There's something cathartic about filling in an area as quickly as you can just with a single tool. I don't know. At least there is for me. Just kind of that joy, that weird fulfillment and joy you get from going right up to the outline and filling it in perfectly. Because I'm not trying to save time right now. I'm just trying to have fun. Okay, now let's see where it's at. Yeah, see some of those areas that but I did pretty good keeping that curve. And maybe he dyes his hair slightly. You know, he's still got gray streaks, but maybe he dyes his hair. I want him to have jet black hair, so. But it's going to have some gray in it. Now this I will put a mask on because that's just a pain in the butt. Otherwise, first thing I'm going to do is put the highlight in. Actually, no, first thing I'm going to do is put the gray in. Let's do it that way. I'm going to do it with a pastel crayon. Let's get that lower. Yeah. Now, it's not going to be completely white. I don't want him to look like the Bride of Frankenstein, you know. But just down the sides, you know, just a little gray down the sides. That's cool. All right, I'm going to do another mask, and this is the one that I'm going to do highlight. I'll go up with a halftone first. There we go. Just to kind of lay in the area that I'm going to highlight. Because his head is kind of like a cone, if you will, right there. I'm going to cover up the gray too much. Okay. Now we're going to go almost white. Except I'm going to use a lighter brush and just kind of blend it in. And then we'll do the extreme. The less you blend on here, the more shiny and glossy it looks. The less, you know, stay away from the blend, go for the white. There we go. Okay, now we go for white. Is that what I want? Yeah, that'll work. Okay. And this shows directional force. So if there's a width to the line, like a wide end of the line, that's where you want the light to be hitting the hair the most. So depending on how you put your stroke down, like my stroke is always heavier on the back side than it is on the front. So that's how I'm laying the strokes down. It also blends too, so you gotta... What did I do? Oh, did the transparency color starting to act like an eraser. And it's brightest in the front, so we're just going to hint at a highlight, and we'll put some reflected light back here. And then we'll add a little bit of gloss down here, going on at the hairline, so it's not completely boring. And then we'll do a little bit of a rim line right there, right at the edge. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Excellent. Now, one thing I will add now that I see it, that I really think I should add, drop that down to his hair, is he needs a crack in his lenses. So I'm going to do that right now. Actually, let's pick a color there and deepen off that color. Right, there we go. And you'll see it only takes, it's a two-step process. Shadow, highlight, both edging the same way. You'll see what I mean. And we're going to need a hard pen or pencil, so I'm going to go up to my old darker pencil. And this is just playing around with shapes that I like. Now, the way you make it look like a crack is you pick the edge on the bottom that would be catching the most light, and you put it right there, right along the edge. And from a distance, it looks like a crack. From this close, it just looks like a line. And then you lead out a little bit with that white. Just a little. Because it makes it look like the crack's still growing. And it's always the edge facing the light. And actually kind of messed that up a little bit on this side. I didn't do it on the right edge. Ah, doggone it. There we go. Okay. All right. Bring that back up a little bit in size. All right. That was my bad. That helps the direction. And that color underneath, I'm not happy with that blue. It needs to be a little bit more blue. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go back over the crack again and just emphasize some of the darker areas so it looks like it's weaving in and out of darkness. Like it's some places the crack is deep and some places it's not as much. Like usually at a corner. There we go. Now if you really want to play with that crack, let's do this. Yeah, let's do this. So I'll take a chunk out. Like a piece is broken out. There we go. Okay. Sorry, I'm not talking. I'm just trying to get this. There we go. Okay, and then maybe put another little hairline going away. Yeah, that works. Just needs maybe a little bit more white. Some areas. More layer on top of that, and I'll collapse it back down again. I just want a little more. Put little swiggles in there just for fun. Helps sell the idea that it's glass. Little shinies here and there. Just it's a cartoon. It's not meant to be super realistic. It's super realistic. It's supposed to emulate realism, so it's not. There we go. That'll work. Yeah. Yeah, like he banged his head on it or something. Oh, hey there, Sleeping Dumplings. No worries about it. No, it's cool. Glad you're here, no matter when. I always appreciate it when you show up. Always a joy. So yeah, we're designing... we're cleaning up Big Willy Neely, and if I have time, I'm going to go in and lay the background down for the garage and the airboat bus. But it might be just him tonight, so this will be a multi-part section as well. The cabin came out looking really good, so I want to keep that going. I just want to get him done, and I'm taking a little more time on him, which is all right. So, but I'm really glad you showed up. I always love it when you show up, so thank you for being here. And I'm not going to spend too long on this little part. I don't want to. Just giving an indication of a strap. I don't want it to be too detailed. Hey, you like that? Yeah, we just finished doing that, so. Excellent. Okay. Now, I'll do a scarf. I want a scarf to look a little bit dirty, so I'm going to start with a neutral gray color. And then we'll go up and down, you know, making look between clean and not clean. Like I said, I'll clean up the lines in a minute. I just want to get the tone down. You know, he's all race car driver and a little bit grease monkey, so that's all right. Because there's nobody else to work on the boat, so he has to do it. Maybe there's a storyline where you find out he wasn't actually a race car driver, he just wanted to be. He was actually a mechanic. That'd be kind of fun. Alright. Yeah, we'll go up and down and get the shading on it, and then I'll add the splotches. Little details like that I've learned over the years for like detail, like work for texture or patterns, things like that. They go on last, over the top of the light and the shade that you've already laid down, because that determines how the pattern moves and ripples across fabric or whatever surface it is you're trying to do. I'm not going to spend too long on this. I don't want it to be too big a deal. Yeah, there we go. That's what I need. I need some kind of shade down here because now it's starting to lose. It's starting to get too neutralized. Big old chin. Got to be shady under that big old chin, you know? Alright. I'm not going to go totally white. Go almost white. Like I said, it is a little dirty. Just soot and smoke and grease and all kinds of stuff that he's probably been through. You know, maybe he and Vinny bond a little bit when Vinny finds out he was just a mechanic, and he looks at Vinny and says, "Can you keep a secret?" And Vinny, of course, has been keeping a secret of the zombie at the camp this whole time. He's like, "Yeah, I think I can do that." Alright, so let's make that a masking layer. Drop down the opacity, and then we can play with a little bit of color work, things like that. I'll see where we go with that. I want to... Let's go with watercolor brush. Yeah, there we go. That's good. That's going to be a good... Just little stains. And it's a little reminiscent of the... And not all the stains are going to be the same color. I'm just throwing down a few right now, and we'll give them some, like maybe some rust stains in there too, you know. Maybe it was wrapped around a fuel rod or a gasket or something. Fuel rod, I don't even know what I'm talking about. What the heck? Exhaust. There we go. Okay. That works. To an extent. I'm pretty happy with it. There we go. Okay. Now on to the clothing. All right. So since I've already got this masking layer set at 70%, I'm going to work on that. I don't want to make the shadows on his jumpsuit too dark. A way to neutralize something a little bit is to make it warmer than it is or cooler than it is. Also remember too that something that's warmer tends to pop out at you more, something that's cooler tends to recede and draw away from your eye. So that's also something to keep in mind when you're doing shadows on something. It's important to remember. Okay, get back to the right brush. You know what? I don't think the 70% is going to work. Let me do another one. Go with 90. There we go. No, I think I'm going to have to go full. That's all right. You learn. Might be the color I picked too. It may need to go a little deeper than that. Oh, that's better. Okay. Part of it was the pen. Just turn that sucker around. All right. Yeah, this is definitely a way to do masking on this one. The other areas I didn't use a masking layer didn't matter as much. This is important because I don't want to have to go back and re-clean the lines up every time. And if I missed an area, you can tell really quick. Don't worry about the stripes. I'm going to work on that in a minute. Let's work a little bit faster here. I'm working too slow tonight. Had to take my dog to the vet today. Doing all right. Just had a little bit of a reaction to something. Getting the help he needs. One of my dogs, I should say. I've got 2 beagles. And they're both really sweet, but the one sitting down at my feet always does well when I'm in here doing this show, but man, he is loud most of the time. All right. Do a little indentation where zipper goes. Excellent. Okay. Now I will do a highlight. Make it a little bit warm. Oh, that's way too pink. Okay. Let's neutralize that a little bit. There we go. That's better. Okay. Whew. Man, that was a close one. That's a little bit. Come on now. There we go. I was just trying to find the right brush. Oh, you know what? Didn't add the shadow on this sleeve. Oopsie. I won't tell if you won't. All right, there we go. Okay. And I am going to make those patches different colors and whatnot. But it's going to be super rough. I don't want to overdo it. Make that brush a little bit bigger. Set up and see how I'm doing. Yeah, it's okay. Certain parts of it I need to fix. I keep forgetting it's layering on itself too, so some of these brushes I'm still experimenting with, see if I like them or not, for some of them. And the roughness isn't bad here. It lends to the kind of rough quality of the fabric, which is fine. I don't want it to get too nuts, but I might add just a little bit of blending in there. Just a little. I don't want to lose the quality of the lines that I spent so long trying to get right, but I don't want some of the splotchiness to go in there, so. There we go, okay. I'm not worried about the patch area. I just wanted to blend it a little more. Yeah, that works. Okay, one more thing I need to do is add a little bit of rim light. I'm all about the rim light. I'm one of those guys. Those guys your mother warned you about. You be aware of those rim light guys. There's something wrong with them. I just like it. I always like using it. Having a secondary light source is always a good thing. It adds depth. And you're always going to have reflected something or other. And because he's just sitting on a white background. Generally speaking, I don't like drawing on a white background with paint. This is just the fastest thing for tonight. Sometimes I'll draw on a neutralized background just to get it right, to play with the color a little bit more. And we're gonna, I need to do that on the base layer. There we go. But I need to do it with the right brush. How about that? Let's get a good. Oh, he needs his skin in that little opening. I just noticed that. Let's clean some of this up a little bit. Okay, let's go to a highlight. It's brown gloves, just generally speaking, just regular old brown gloves. There we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to take some of the skin tone, just pop it underneath there, and then grab some of the some of that. There we go. A little bit of shadow, and then some of the highlight. There we go. Okay, it gives a little bit of depth. And then we're gonna take add a little bit of that, a tiny bit of that highlight here too, just to bring those gloves up. There we go. Like I said, I could have made that more brown, but I want it to be neutralized. I want him to wear Chucks, kind of like what the other students are wearing, but let's try this. We're going to play a little bit with experiment. Yeah, that works. Kind of like faded red Chucks. I like that. Like, he won't get rid of them. They're too good, man. They're too good. They're classics. Can't get rid of classics. Now we're going to get rid of the background so I can paint the white and gray for the rubber on the Chucks. So I could just make sure, because painting against white is a little bit straining on my eyes, so. Yeah, that works. Okay, maybe add a little bit more dark. All right, so all I really have left is a steering wheel and its patches. Highlights depend on the light source. So there's a lot of color theory in here that I could go into, but generally speaking, if you have like just say the sunlight and it's just natural light, it tends to draw warmer color out as a highlight. That's why when you have the sun hitting black, for instance, the highlights aren't nearly as pronounced. It's a trick that you can do in art where to make something pop out at you more, you make it a warmer color, and you can fiddle with that with highlight and things like that to make it come out at the viewer from the picture more. It's something I would encourage you to experiment with because it's an important tool in color theory, and believe me, color theory is where I used to struggle with the most. I'm explaining it in like the strangest way possible, but generally speaking, if you have a warm highlight or warm light source, you have a warm highlight and a cool shadow, If you have a cool light source, you have a cool highlight and a warm shadow, because the shadow is always going to use a combination of reflected color from whatever is being cast back upon it, and the opposite or complement, that's the words are interchangeable, to the light source. So if you have a red light, its complement is green, you're going to have a slightly greenish shadow underneath it, but then you have to worry about the local color of the object and the way they blend. There are books on this that are explaining it so much better than me. But generally speaking, I keep things simple on here. I try to give it one light source, like say for the background painting that I did last week, the highlights were all like the warmest possible version of the color that the light was hitting. So if it was a blue roof, it was a very cerulean, very warm blue, and the shadow underneath was a very cool, more cold shadow. That's where I tried to land on that. There's so many ways you can bend those rules in such cool ways, but generally speaking, just always remember that if stuff is warm, highlight, whatever, it's going to pop out at you more, and cool stuff is going to recede. That's just how the eye interprets things. So take for that what you will, but in generally speaking, the way I'm doing it, yes, warm usually pops out more in my paintings because that's how I do my highlight. I prefer warmer light sources to pop those out just for this kind of work, just for this really quick work. Now, if I'm really getting in depth into a painting, I'll use a different one. There's a painting on my website you can go look at. It's also at the header of my personal fan page, but I call it Beer in the Headlights, and it's this dude in his pajamas opening up the fridge at night. He's got a beer in one hand and a piece of pizza in the other, and he's staring at the camera like he's been surprised. His hair all messed up. That flips it. The light source is the fridge, and it's very cold. And I had to really play with the shadows on that, make the shadows warm, because the rim light from the back from his bedroom behind him was warm. So look at that one, because that's a better example of what I'm describing. And I hope I didn't just gobbledygook all that up. But for the most part, yes. If you're using a warm sun-like light source, highlights tend to be warmer because the light source is warm. So I apologize if I'm not explaining that to the best of my ability. I know there's better ways for me to explain that. All right, we're going to put some basic colors down for fun for his patches. Add a little bit of detail to them here and there. Red comes out pink, so we're going to avoid that. And that, yeah, oh wow, yeah, I forgot yellow and purple complements, they neutralize each other, but that's okay. It works, it's all right. But yeah, when I, like say for instance with this clothing here, when I created that color for the highlight for this lighter kind of purple, I sent it a little bit towards the warmer end of that color family to pop it out more. So in a word, yes, in this drawing, the highlights are generally warmer. Let's collapse these down onto the clothes layer. There we go. Now I'll create another one. Okay, let's go with a soft edge darker pencil. Don't do that. And we're going to be just kind of putting in shapes here, you know. Just to show maybe, you know, like advertisements or something like that, you know, that he had. And generally speaking, patches on these things are a lot of contrasting colors and stuff. They're bright and they're ugly, and you know, that's kind of what I want. Nope. Yeah, it is complex, and I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you. I really am. That one's a it's an easy question with what should be an easy answer but isn't. Um, I definitely would look up some books on color theory, just how the color wheel works, and then it will explain how light and shadow affect the colors on the color wheel and how all those colors interact with each other. There are really good ones out there, and I highly recommend you delve into that because they're brilliant. Like it's when you get that down, there's a lot you can do, and it will make your work just awesome. When you can utilize those fundamental tools, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel and try and figure it out for yourself. I'm gonna give them a green, kind of a turquoise steering wheel. I like that. Actually, you know what? It won't look like steering wheel if I do that. I'll keep some of the color in it, but I'm going to knock it way down. There we go. I just realized I'm like, you know what? I'm taking it so far off of its reference that it doesn't look like what I want it to look like anymore if I do that. All right. This will be the last. Yeah, I'll just work on him today. This will be the last thing I do, but I'll put up the finish of him. Tomorrow on Instagram and Facebook, and we will continue with the garage and the airboat next week. Sometimes you have big plans, and sometimes they don't always work out the way you want. Okay. Simple gray. I'm not going to worry too much about adding a lot of color. I want him to be colorful. The steering wheel is just a prop. And I don't want to give props more attention than they're due. There we go. Color theory book recommendations. I might have one over my bookshelf. I'll grab real quick. If you guys can bear with me a little bit. If you can find it anywhere. All right. Give me 1 second, and I will go grab it for you. Hopefully my dog won't freak out that I'm getting up. Give me 1 sec. Yes, so I do have one book that's really good. It's called The Painter's Guide to Color. I hope you can see that pretty good. It's by a guy named Stephen Quiller. Stephen Quiller is a watercolor artist by trade, but he also is phenomenal. I've actually earmarked places, but this is a great book for describing how colors work together, and he uses watercolor primarily to describe his technique. But yeah, it's Painter's Guide to Color by Stephen Quiller. That's Quiller. Highly recommend this book. It gave me a lot of insights for what I need. So hopefully that helps. I'm sure Amazon has it, or it'll give you recommendations based on it. All right. Do a little bit of highlight on the steering wheel, and then we are good. And I am using a warm highlight here, a warmer than what's here kind of highlight. So go with a real pencil on this. I want to keep things rough. Yeah, there we go. That's nice. Actually, I gotta remember the little finger grooves that are on this that I built into it. Always remember where the light source is coming from. And think about how that affects the shape that you're painting on. Alright, now the dark. It won't be too hard to do this. Straight down. There we go. Yeah, Stephen Quiller's been around for a long time. He's an instructor, writes books, things like that, or wrote books. I'm not sure if he's still alive anymore. But, oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Take that and run with it. I'd love to see what you learn from it, honestly. I like sharing information like that because it just makes us all better artists when we can share where we get our knowledge from. All right. Wrong way. Huh. Okay, let me give a little signature on this, or actually, let me drop all this down to the right layer, like to one layer, because I'm not going to be editing this anymore. I like where it's at. Excellent. Now I'll do a little line, like I always do. Boom. A little darker pencil. Okay. And then I'll give it a little signature. Okay, so that's what we did this week. Next week I'm going to take this guy and show you his... Oh, I forgot one thing. Forgot the racing stripes. And that is A-OK. We're going to make those green. I think that'll be good. And I don't mind if I go over the black lines a little bit. I'll make them stand out a little bit better anyway. So let's have a little bit of fun. Go out on a limb here, and my bad. I was so excited to get the patches done. Plus he's got with the green and the purple, he's got a little bit of Buzz Lightyear going on. I didn't intend that, but hey, it's a good homage, you know. That's better. Make the fabric in between the zipper like part of that whole thing. Excellent. Yeah, plus it pulls in a little bit of the green from his goggles too, like it whole. You know, that's one thing about NASCAR is they're color coordinated to the car. Their colors. Yeah, he is reliving the good old days. That's exactly what I want this. So you're totally getting it. You know, definitely go back and watch earlier parts of the video because I talk about how some storylines that could possibly revolve around him not actually having been a race car driver, but a mechanic, and he confides in the kids that he's not really one, but they keep his secret for, you know, like a little side story. But for right now, he was a race car driver, and he kind of has that daring look about him. You know, he's a little bit of a grease monkey. So, yeah, I like the way it came out. I think this is going to be good. And I'll do a lineup. I'll on Instagram, I'll do this shot with a better background, and on Facebook to demonstrate what we did tonight. And I'll also have him in a lineup with the other characters so you can see how he stacks up. So, if you liked the video, definitely give it a like. Please subscribe to my channel so I can keep doing this every week. And definitely check out my website, located at the top of the screen, and also in a link in the description below the video, as well as my store that's linked from my website, and I believe also linked down below. It's got prints and books and canvases that I sell online and at conventions, so give those a look. And we'll just keep going on this next week and see where it takes us. You know, this would be really cool to see this all done and as a pitch Bible. It'd be really nice. That's the point. So thank you for watching. Thank you so much for watching. I am Kyle Gentry, and I will be back next week on Thursday. And you guys have a great week. Be safe. Treat each other with kindness and respect. Learn as much as you can, and keep drawing. All right? So you guys take it easy. Peace out, and God bless. I will see you next Thursday, 8 o'clock. Bye, guys.